Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you, that's right, you, to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit-Down. And you know the deal, pull up a chair, take a seat. Tonight, I am talking Molly's Game. That's right, the real-life, fascinating story of Molly Bloom, who is portrayed by Jessica Chastain. This movie also stars Idris Elba and features Kevin Costner, Michael Cera, and a whole slew of other gems. Written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. It's his directorial debut. When the first trailer for this dropped, I was like, this looks like a must-see. Because I'm a sucker for a good story, and the trailer really made me go, this sounds and looks like a fascinating story, and it's a real-life story. Happened in my adult life, and I don't know this story. I was hooked right out the gate. And I tell you what, this movie delivers. It hit. I was super pumped to go see it. I came out super pumped. I really enjoyed this movie. Aaron Sorkin is operating the top of his game, man. His dialogue in this movie, if you know Aaron Sorkin, his razor-sharp dialogue is some of the best in the business, and it is working at such a great, in such a great way in this movie. The acting's fantastic. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, you should go see it. But before we get into the good stuff, let's backtrack. You know how I do. I start with the bad, end with the good, because I want you to have a good feeling coming out this video, so you'll go see it. So bad, I don't have a lot of bad to say about this one, guys. You know, it's not an action movie, it's not a murder mystery, it's not a spy thriller, it's not a sci-fi movie, so I don't have a ton to really hate on this movie, because it is a dialogue-driven movie with really good actors and an unbelievable story. So that being said, if I was gonna get nitpicky, which is not something I like to do, I'd probably say, there's times in this movie where it feels like Sorkin's directorial debut. I think he might have been a little too attached to the script, and I think a fresh set of eyes on it could have delivered this in a way that would have elevated it, up a little bit more than it was. That being said, I really think Sorkin does a solid job. Like I said, when you have a story and a cast this good, it kind of delivers itself. And, he does a fine enough job. There's some pacing problems, occasionally in the movie. He tells it through two different mediums, flashbacks, which are led off by usually voiceovers from Jessica Chastain leading into the scenes, and then present day. And the flashbacks are super fast-paced, whereas the present-day stuff kind of comes almost to a screeching halt at times. But like I said, the story is so intriguing, and Elba and Chastain are so good together. The chemistry on screen is so good that you're always kind of, you're always intrigued. You're always eyes on, on the screen. You're just, it's gripping. But that back and forth can be kind of jarring at times, and, maybe a different director would have made that a little bit smoother. Other than the pace, some of the poker stuff, I've definitely seen poker games delivered on film better than I've seen it in this movie. Rounders, as an example, is one of my all-time favorites. And I think Sorkin's so locked into his dialogue and the writing, his scenes are, very boom, 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 boom. Which is fine. Like I said, it works. You're not going to sit there and go, this is some of the worst directing I've ever seen. But I think a fresh set of eyes could have elevated this. And the one thing I have heard and read about this movie is that Jessica Chastain doesn't really seem to have captured Molly Bloom very well. I don't personally know anything about Molly Bloom. I didn't know anything going in. I haven't watched anything with her. But from what I've read, some people say that her demeanor seems a little bit softer and more approachable than what Jessica Chastain is in this movie. And if that's the case, then that, I think, again, is on Sorkin, and maybe a fresh set of eyes could have been like, whoa, let's lighten up some of these a little bit, deliver it a little softer, whatever. That aside, like I said, I'm nitpicking at this point. I really don't have too much negative to talk about. So we might as well just get right into the positive. And for me, and mild spoilers ahead. This is mostly a non-spoiler review, but there's a couple moments in the movie I want to point out specifically. But like I said, the story is what drives this movie, right? The story is in the driver's seat. And Sorkin really delivers great dialogue to tell this story. Really, really fantastic writing. And what I didn't know is, obviously we know that this is about Molly Bloom, who ran the biggest, high-end, high-stakes underground poker games in the country for a 7-year stretch between L.A. for 5, 2 years or in New York. You're talking about your celebrities. You're out in Hollywood. You got actors. You got your Silicon Valley folks. Just high rollers. All these people that Molly Bloom interacted with. But what I didn't know, then you don't get this in the trailers, is she was formerly an Olympic skiing hopeful. She was like a top-end skier, had a really unfortunate accident on her last run in trials that leads to her not being a skier anymore and ultimately sends her on the path that gets her into poker. And the story is just so fascinating, man. Everything about it. And the reason I like the fast-paced stuff in the flashbacks is it really gives you a sense of how fast Molly's brain is working, right? Molly is super intelligent. She's so smart. She's just got good street smarts. She's got good book smarts. If she doesn't know something, she's constantly Googling. She gets like a secretary job, and the person that she works for runs these high-end poker games. She, is in charge of getting the players to come, keeping track of all the money. And while she's sitting there, man, she's hearing like flop, river, all these different poker terminology terms that she doesn't know. She's constantly Googling stuff because she always wants to be one step ahead. And in doing that, so she is able to set herself up when this, her boss was an asshole. So she knows that at some point he's probably going to fire her. And if he fires her, she's going to lose the poker game. Because, her kind of running everything, she gets crazy good tips. I mean, she steps away from college to do, to just take a year off after all the skiing and stuff, and falls into this world because the money is so good. So she's super smart, and Jessica Chastain portrays that so well on screen. And the fast pace of the flashbacks keeps you intrigued, keeps you engaged. You're on the edge of your seat a lot of times in this movie, which is crazy to think about, like just a poker game. But the story is so fascinating. You're like, whoa, what? This is real life. This is crazy. And that speed and pace really gets how quick her brain's working. I thought that was awesome. Aside from the writing and the story, the actors in this movie are great, man. I know some people aren't huge Jessica Chastain fans. I'm not one of those people. And if you're not, a lot of people are like, she's very one note. And I guess you could say there's times in this movie where that's the case. But I mean, she's very strong. She's very confident. She's very edgy in this movie. And I mean, if you're not a Jessica Chastain fan, I don't know what to tell you. But if you just enjoy good acting, man, I think this is some of the top work from Jessica Chastain. She's really on her game in this movie. She delivers this dialogue so well. Her and Idris Elba on camera, their chemistry is so good, and that works so well in everything she's doing, man. I mean, you just believe everything that you're watching. So I really think she's on fire in this film. Idris Elba, like I said, he's always a slam dunk for me, man. I don't know if any of you saw Dark Tower. That movie was not good. But Idris Elba was fantastic. The only reason I didn't walk out of the theater, I mean, besides being a huge Stephen King fan and wanting to see what they did with that, was because Idris Elba is always so good, man. I love everything he does, and he's on fire in this movie. And this is where the spoilers are going to come in, because he's in my 2 favorite scenes in this movie. And the first one is, like I said, he plays Molly's lawyer, but at the beginning he's iffy on it. He doesn't really feel too confident in wanting to take take the job. And that's the other thing that's crazy too with this movie. It really gets into how the legal system kind of sets certain people up for failure so that they'll take a deal. It's exactly what they do to Molly. And he's like, look, I'm not letting you walk into this arraignment alone. I'll get you through the arraignment, and then we'll find you another lawyer, because the time frame from when she gets arrested, and she gets busted by like 14 FBI agents with semi-automatic weapons, which is nuts when you know what she did. You're like, how did that happen? It's because of the case. It was a tactical strike force that grabbed about 12 to 13, 14 people at one time, all across the country. But so he knows that they're setting her up for failure. So he takes her to the arraignment, and he brings bodyguards with them because the Russian mafia is involved in this story. And that's what I mean, man. Like, so much of this stuff is just like, wow, this happened to somebody. This is crazy. But in the courtroom, it's Jessica Chastain, and it's the bodyguard, and then it's Idris Elba and the other bodyguard. And him and the bodyguard, he asks him to switch like 4 or 5 times. It's absolutely hysterical. It's delivered so well. And you can kind of see as that's happening, the gears turning into Elba's head. That's going to make him go, you know what? No, I am going to be this woman's lawyer because she needs a good one. And, you know, there's other things that play into why he does it. But that scene, you just see it starting to get put together in his head. And you're like, oh, he's going to take it. You know, I mean, we know he's going to take it because he's the other lead in the movie. But the other scene that he's in is at the end. And it's a really good bookend with this movie with Elba. They have an off the record conversation with the prosecutors, people that he's worked with for many years. And, you know, they're kind of just harping on her, and they don't want to believe what she's saying. And he lays into them. And it's, man, he is on fire in that scene. And it just makes you go, man, I want somebody who has my back the way Idris Elba has Molly's back. And, I mean, their relationship is so good. It's really the other thing that drives this movie. It keeps you engaged. Elba, fantastic. Like I said, though, there's, you know, Kevin Costner's in this. He plays the overbearing, like, drill sergeant style dad. He's a psychiatrist with very, very high expectations for his kids. You know, he gives them additional homework, stuff like this, and he's great, man. Costner is just always built for a role like this. He's on fire. He has a moment at the end of the movie, man, that just punches you right in the chest. The way he delivers it, although kind of cliche and cheesy, it really does hit home, you know? Like, I'm not a dad, and I totally connect with everything that he's saying and what he's feeling, and, you know, it's because of that good delivery from Costner. And then, obviously, we also have Michael Cera, who plays Player X, who's an actor. And that's the thing, too, that you love about this movie, and you love about Molly as a character, is that she always sticks to her guns, and she never wants to give anybody up, because if she does, it could ruin people's lives with the stuff that she knows. So because of that, we don't know a lot of the names of the players. You know, some of the actors and things we can kind of guess. But Michael Cera is fantastic. Brian D'Arcy James is in this. He's great. Chris O'Dowd is fantastic. Bill Camp, when he's on screen, he's great. And like I said, the cast as a whole is just fantastic. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about in this movie. It's about the cast, it's about the writing, and it's about the story. And the story is great. So that's all I gotta say, guys. That's it. I got nothing else. If I start talking any more than I already am, I'm gonna end up spoiling stuff, and I don't want to do that because I want you guys to go see this movie because it's really, really, really good. So, tell me what you think. Hit that comment section. If you saw the movie, did you like it? Did you not like it? Was I on base or off base with some of the things that I thought? You know, did I miss anything? Hit those comments, let me know. If you didn't see the movie, let me know if I have now enticed you to want to go see this movie. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not part of that squad, hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell, too, so that you get alerts every time I make a new video. That's it, folks. We got to the end of Molly's game. For the C-Man Cinema Sit-Down, I am the C-Man. I am signing off. You all have a wonderful evening.